Hi guys, and welcome to Chat with Lulu.
Yeah, I know I look good. Yeah, I look fly. Baby, I'm just your type. I'm a baddie. I'm a baddie. Yeah, I know I look good. Yeah, I look fly. Baby, I'm.
So I'm bringing you a series on your mental health, just to educate you on your mental health, and stuff. P.S. I'm just a student. I'm not a psychiatrist in any way, and I'm going to be teaming up with my fellow student colleagues to bring this to your screen. So stay tuned, relax yourself, and enjoy the series.
Get a pen and a jotter. Jot things down. I'll wait for you. Get it.
I'm with my friend right here. Please introduce yourself, girl.
Hi everyone, my name is Ada. I'm a medical student.
And she's Nigerian.
Yes.
We are pretty like this. That's how we are in our dreams.
Yeah, Nigerian.
Okay. So what are we talking about today? Which particular disorders are we talking about in this video?
We're talking about somatic symptom disorders.
Okay.
And in somatic symptom disorders, trust me, there are a lot of disorders.
Oh, okay.
But we'll just be speaking. When I say a lot, it's not like
Not lots, but a lot.
a lot. So we'll just be talking about 3 of them.
Okay.
First is illness anxiety disorder. Then we have conversion disorder as well as factitious disorder.
Okay, so before we go into them,
That's sprinkle
Yeah.
malingering.
That's true. That's the sprinkle of malingering. Let me not get it wrong. So what are somatic disorders? Let's say in a nutshell, what are describe somatic disorders?
Okay, so somatic disorders, now we're trying to bring it down to our level. So somatic disorders, when you hear somatic disorders, first thing that comes to your mind is soma.
Okay.
And soma, as we all know from basic sciences, it means body. So
Okay.
everything that has to do with body.
Okay.
So these disorders actually present as bodily symptoms. Either, don't worry, when we get there, we're going to talk about it.
Okay,
Either
so
form or
bodily
form.
symptoms, that's what somatic disorders are. And she said we're dealing with illness, anxiety disorder, conversion, factitious, with a sprinkle of malingering. Okay, so putting it out there, we're just medical students, as I said earlier. So we're just giving you our best, this is our best as students, so that you will know, okay? So now let's deal with them one by one. So illness, anxiety disorder. So could you describe it? What's that? What are you talking about, girl? What's that? So what is illness, anxiety disorder?
Okay.
Describe it.
So let's say illness anxiety disorder. We're trying to break it down just So when you hear illness anxiety disorder, you already hear illness there, so illness is part of that. And then there's the anxiety there. So basically, patients who suffer with illness anxiety disorder, they have this anxiety, they have this anxiousness that they have an illness.
Okay.
They have a disease. Mind you, they don't have that. Literally, they have nothing at all.
Okay.
But they have that anxiety and that anxiousness that they're going to have a disease. Let's say, Oluchi now, if she's feeling
Sure, no problem. I'm your best example. So
if she's feeling a little bit of stomach ache, if she has illness anxiety disorder, first thing that comes to her mind is, oh my gosh, I might have cancer, I have colon cancer and all that stuff. And guess what? They do not stop at just that feeling. They act on it. They go for test upon test,
scans, X-rays, CTs, MRIs, down to the money involved. So they're just anxious that they might have an illness, right? They're just so anxious about it, and they do anything to confirm that anxiety. They are trying to prove a point, something
exactly.
Exactly. So in that situation now, how do you think, as a patient, or let's say I have it, or I know someone that has it, what can you advise? What's your advice to us? What do you think we should do about that?
Okay, so for illness anxiety disorder, they already have a long history, because of the fact that they, like Oluchi said, they are trying to prove a point. So trust me, they've gone to as many doctors as possible. And because of that, they give themselves that room to be open to a lot of procedures that are not necessary because they want to prove that, oh, this thing I'm feeling is because of something. And trust me, the way they are feeling is as real as anything,
as it can be.
Very, very real. So they feel it and they're so certain about it. So they can go to this first doctor and the doctor does all the scan and comes and like, oh, like it's negative, like you're fine, but they cannot stop there and they feel like maybe that doctor is incompetent. They usually, before they even get diagnosed, they usually have met up close to at least 5 doctors that have done all the explanation,
and it's the same test again and again, but there's nothing.
There's nothing there. So in order to treat those kind of patients, they usually assign them to a particular doctor.
Okay.
Because the fact that they're feeling that way does not refute the fact that later on in future they can actually develop something that is that could lead to something really serious, right? So if they have a particular doctor, that doctor is going to be able to deal with their anxiety because the doctor has gone through, like, knows their history already, so already knows that, oh, this thing that they are feeling, they feel it as real as it can be, but there is no medical or physical sign to prove that. So they already know that this is what is going on with them, but they are able to have like that regular visit. Like, you cannot have a patient that feels a certain way and then you just tell them, oh, what you're feeling is not right, and then you expect them to feel okay about it. No. So they schedule regular visits with the doctor and it gives them that kind of reassurance that someone is listening to them. Exactly. And so when they have that regular scheduled visits with their physician, the physician is able to curb the need for them to go to different physicians
and do a lot of tests at different costs and stuff.
And even the fact that a lot of them are invasive too. So to prevent that, that's the first thing that this approach helps with, to prevent all that excessive stuff. Then the second thing is so that in case something new comes about, the physician can be able to detect it
and tell.
Okay. Not because, oh, imagine you already know this patient always comes with, oh, I have stomach pain, and this person actually has maybe stomach pain that is due to something that is medically proven, and then because you're used to the person always complaining that way, you just brush it off. And it might be something serious that can lead to the death of such a patient.
Sure.
So it helps that physician to also know when something new comes about and able to treat it too also.
Wow.
And also, as an individual that sees the patients, that reassurance also, that helps with that reassurance that someone listens to me, someone believes
me, and it helps them like mentally and stuff. Wow. Hope you jotted things down. So the next one is like conversion disorder. So could you like, what's that, please?
Okay, so conversion disorder, convert. You're converting psychological thoughts and feelings into neurological symptoms.
Did you get that? Please say it again. Say it again, girl.
So you're converting, like, everything that has to do with these disorders is just about your mind. Like, it might not be there, but God, our mind can do wonders. Like, the kind of things that our mind does,
it's so powerful.
You'll be really amazed. So you have that psychological thoughts in your brain, and then it converts to neurological symptoms. Like neurological symptoms, anything that has to do with sensory, motor, like people who
I mean sensory, like, you know, we're talking
okay. So sensory, like touch, like all these your 5 sense organs, right?
Could lead
like
to blindness,
loss of smell, loss of hearing as well, and they might not be able to taste stuff. And if I touch Lulu now, she will not feel it.
Yeah. Then motor, like
movement,
paralyzed,
your hands,
that kind of thing, and it's from the mind. Okay.
And for them, like when they start feeling symptoms like that, they also go for tests, because most times rather than not, it's due to something, maybe like stroke or something that resulted in them being paralyzed or not being able to move. But they check all of this and they find out that there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And sometimes it might actually be due to like a life event that happened.
Like emotional stressors.
Exactly.
And stuff,
Like there was this lady, I think her son got kidnapped. And when her son was kidnapped, she became blind. Nothing was, it's just the brain could not handle that
stress, where I say that stuff, that emotion.
That emotion, like you losing your own child. And because of that, she lost her sight. But guess what? when they found her son, she
was
regained
able
her
to see.
sight.
So you see, it's all like it's
Your
a
mind.
psychological thing, but it's real to them. Like it's real, so you can't say it's not real. Like it's real to
Very
them.
real.
Very real to them. So yeah. So in this kind of situation, like what's your advice? Like what's your advice
For
to them?
theirs, they don't really go overboard with the
Testing and stuff,
and
okay.
stuff. Yeah, they just want to be sure that nothing else is wrong.
Okay.
So they don't, unlike illness, anxiety.
Okay.
Yes, cause like anxiety literally it causes a dysfunction in their life. But for conversion disorder, most times after you do like the test, you know, as a physician that this might be the reason for that. After you're done with all of that, you're able to explain to the patient.
They'll be alright. Like
Yeah,
they'll feel like better.
but it's not all the time that the symptoms come. Like it's not all the time that they go back to their pre-morbid state.
Premorbid state.
Like it's not the time they go
Premorbid
back
state
to
is
normal.
like going back to what they were before, like it happened.
It is. I feel like for that one, it's only if there's a stressor, an
Okay.
identifiable stressor
Okay.
that resulted.
That resulted in it. So once it resolves, they can get back to like how they were before. Okay, that's amazing. So the last one we're talking about in this episode is factitious disorder. So like, oh my god! So tell us, factitious facts.
Okay.
Are they facts? Was that?
But this one, I think and it's also called like Munchausen syndrome.
Munchausen.
Yeah. So
okay.
we have like variants. We have factitious, so like self-imposed factitious disorder, and then we have factitious disorder by proxy, also called Munchausen by proxy. So for factitious disorder, okay, I would like to explain this to us in this scenario. Yeah, I'm going to use symptoms and motivation.
Okay.
Right. So you have symptoms. The symptoms could be intentional or unintentional.
Okay.
Their motivation, they could be a gain or no gain.
Okay.
So for the ones we discussed about before, illness, anxiety disorder, and conversion, for those ones, the symptoms that they are experiencing are unintentional. Like they are not making of the symptoms.
It's not conscious. They are not doing it to themselves. Like it's something that happened and put them in that situation. Do you get what? Well, that's the like. Continue, girl. Sorry.
No, like she was actually explaining like the symptom just happened to them. They don't know the cause, and for them they go out to find out reasons why they feel this way. But we have the parts where the symptoms are conscious, intentional. So in this case, we're going to be talking about factitious and our baby girl malingering. So those two, the symptoms are very, very, very intentional.
Putting it out there, malingering is not a mental illness. That's why we are saying like a sprinkle of it, because it's not a mental illness. However, it is punishable by law.
It's a crime.
It's a crime,
Right.
but it is not a mental illness. And she's going to like differentiate so that you get the real gist of what we're talking about. So factitious and malingering. You could tell a story, you know, something. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
So for factitious, like I was saying with the symptoms, factitious disorder, the symptoms are very intentional. Like I want to start sweating. I go and put on a hot bath and then stay there and I start sweating. I am making myself sweat. So literally every symptom they face, they are the ones doing it to themselves. So I'm going to talk about the factitious imposed on self. For this one, we had a case of a lady who used to inject herself with her own feces. Like you go to the toilet, you poo,
You take it in the syringe and you shook it into your veins. You pour it there just so that you'll be sick. You can imagine like the length to which they go.
Yeah. But for factitious disorder, they do that because they just want to assume the sick role. Like they don't have any gain that they are getting. It's just for oh gosh, I am sick.
I'm sick.
Like can't you see? Like I'm sick. Who you talk about that?
And sometimes maybe they do it like to get like the love and attention of like a sick person. And it could be maybe because when they were younger, they saw how maybe they were neglected, and then they saw how they cared for someone that was sick. So they felt like, you know, being sick is what will attract being sick is what will attract like the love and attention. Do you get? So
exactly.
That can be a cause, but then there are also other causes either way. So
and for factitious disorder, like you usually find it mostly in women. They say we're attention seekers, but we can't say. Yeah, you find it in women, you find it in health workers. Why? Health workers already know how the system works.
We know what's up.
Like they know how the system works. So if I want to make sure that I have hypoglycemia, I know what to do.
I know
myself.
what to do.
Exactly. So and they also have like easy access to this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, easy access to it. So the lady that injected the feces, she bring about sepsis in her body, and
that's like sickness, fever, chills. Sickness.
Yeah. So and that's that for the imposed on self. Then we have by proxy. For by proxy, they don't want to be the ones that are sick. They want someone else to be sick, but they are attached to the sickness.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have watched this movie, Run, and there was one other movie too. Like if you watch those movies, they actually depict it so well. Exactly. Like,
but for those who haven't watched, give us this.
Okay. So there's this there was this lady. She was a blogger. Like she had a sick son.
Okay.
Sick son. Sick. Yeah, and he was always having seizures. Like every time he was always having seizures. She opened a blog, and she, you know how people are very remorseful towards people who are sick. Yeah, so she opened the blog. Like she had a lot of support. She was like a YouTuber or something like that, I guess. Like the story was really big when it happened. So she opened the blog, and she has a lot of support as far like mom of a sick boy, and she used to take the video of the guy and actually like post it, and people always like, oh, I'm so sorry for you,
the attention, the care.
And she's always making videos of herself in the hospital. Like almost every time they're like, oh, best award for the best mother and all that kind of things. I'm telling you. And it was just, oh yeah, I think also everything. But the one I wanted to talk about was, there's one other movie. I think I'll try to find out.
Is it the one of like she was a doctor and she kept her child in a her child was always at home, her child always wore white, and oh gosh,
this one she made her 18 or 19-year-old girl. I think the girl's name was Gobi or something like that. She made her like the girl was on wheelchair.
Wow.
And every other thing. The act! Oh my gosh, the act!
Victoria is behind the scenes, girl.
Thank you, baby girl. If you watch that movie, see, you feel so much rage. You feel so much anger. This woman made that girl go through things. And when the girl even found out, okay, and the thing is, at the beginning, she did not really know, but she found out this girl was always on wheelchair.
Wow.
Nah, it was bad. The thing is, because she was a sick girl, people used to give them stuff. Like they even donated house for them.
You don't see.
They built.
And that please come and be sick. Let them donate.
It was bad. So like that lady, apparently she used to inject her son with salt. I'm telling you, she used to inject.
This is the seizure case.
Yeah, the seizure. She used to inject her son with salt. And that time that she was doing all that, oh mom this, oh my son is this way, oh my son is that way. Like she was the one doing it. And how they found out, at the hospital, the boy was there, and next he started having seizure. And then the doctors already, like when you get a case that is not similar to the other cases you have on the ward, you start suspecting. And then they actually put a camera in the boy's room. So this boy just finished seizing. They stabilized him and they left. Guess what? He started seizing again. And they're like,
something is wrong.
By then they already put the camera. Wait for them to go and see that this woman used to inject. She used to give him salt to eat. He eats the salt and he gets injected with the salt. Like literally, mom bath salt. like salt and and he's just a child.
Wow.
Imagine having to live like the best years of your life in the hospital. I don't want to imagine it. And that was how they found out that the boy was actually not sick. Wow. And it was his mom that was making him to play that sick role.
Wow. Anyways, in a nutshell, factitious is like doing stuff to yourself or to someone else to assume the sick role. because to assume that sick role, to assume not for any other, not falling sick to miss a job or to miss an exam or all those other things. This one is just to assume that sick role for the attention and the love of a sick role somebody. So now the sprinkle of malingering, girl, give it up.
So for malingering, remember anytime we're talking about all these somatic symptom disorders, remember that there is the part of the symptoms, find out whether it is intentional or unintentional, and then you have the motivation part, find out if they have like an actual motivation or if it's unconscious. So for malingering, they have an actual motivation, like they have a secondary gain, and then their symptoms are made of by themselves.
So it's an intentional and with a motivation
for that. Like all it was even say, like those of us that used to when we're younger. You knew you were having an exam, but that morning
you decided to have running stomach, you decided to have fever, you decided to have everything in your body. We see you.
Only you.
So
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and for that, it's actually a crime. But none of those petty ones used to do.
Those ones, you can sweep it under the
carpet.
But yeah,
there was this case of this lady. I think I read that online. So she had malingering, and she came to the doctor. She was like, "Oh, doctor, I have stomach pain, and like I can't feel anything, like I'm paralyzed. Doctor, help me! I don't know what to do," and all of that. And the thing is, whenever patients come into the ward, like the doctors always have to interview them and get like do history taking. That's
so get their gist, get the story
behind that. So he was trying to do it, like get her history, and she was like, "Doctor, that's not it. Don't worry. I've had this before, and I know what's wrong with me. Just give me oxycodone, and I'm good. I am well." And doctor was like, "Hey, okay. You know what, dear? I just want you to do 70 jumping jacks here. Just 70. And I'll give you the oxycodone."
Oh
I guess so. Baby girl did it. She jumped up. Remember, she's paralyzed. She jumped up and she was doing like that. And doctor was just there. And when she finished, she was like, "Oh, doctor, please can I get the oxycodone now?" Doctor just told her, "Please jump out." Like jumping jacks and go out there. And it was just a sin. Like trust me, the thing is they forget. For she forgot that this is the symptom, because symptoms are fake. She forgot that she's supposed to be paralyzed, but because they told her that game,
Oh my god.
So I'm going to use now, because a lot of people have this confusion when it comes to factitious and malingering. So I will use an example to differentiate a patient who is a malingerer and someone who is factitious, what they will do in a situation. Let's take this young girl now. She has a sister that wears glasses, like Oluchi wears.
Oh my god.
And I'm like Oluchi's sister, and I'm like, "Oh, Oluchi, you look so cool in your glasses. Like I would like to have all of that." But I not tell Oluchi that. I'm just thinking that in my head. And then I'm like, we're sisters, right? And then while they're watching movie with their family members and all that, I go to the TV and I'm squinting. I can't see. And then parents noticed that. They were like, "Oh, like what's wrong?" And she was like, "Oh, her eyes and stuff. Being a caring parents, they took her to the doctor. And then the doctor looked at the eyes. And then we have this stuff we call visual acuity. It's like a test to check your eyesight, right? So they did her visual acuity for her because she wanted to be as bad as it could get. She literally was saying she could not, even the big letters she could not see. Then the doctor was like, something is fishy. Something is fishy, because in order for so in order for you to, the doctor was like, in order for someone to have that bad eyesight, like at least one of their parents should have like an eye problem. But guess what? The two parents had 20/20. That's the normal
one. Okay.
Right. And then he was like, something wrong. Yeah. Then he called his assistant to get him a machine. And then they brought the machine in, and the doctor told her like, "Oh, like you see, the kind of eye problem you have is very different from your sister's eye problem. Like your own eye problem, it can be resolved. You don't need to wear glasses. Your eye problem, this machine now will have a procedure and you'll be fine." But you know what? In this procedure, we have to remove your eyeballs. We have to take it out. We have to fix the wire that is not working properly on that. Obviously, she's a young girl and all of that. And it's like, you have to fix the wire that is not working here and all of that. So now, if the girl is a malingerer, what she'll say, because the doctor will be like, oh, you have to take out, like, remove your eyeballs and then do all of that. And also your parents will have to pay so much amount of money, like let's say $1 million and all of that in order to get it. So but after that you'll be fine. And then if she's a malingerer, she'll just be like, oh, doctor, it's a miracle! You know, I can see. Doctor, you're wearing a red shirt. You're wearing a black trouser. Doctor,
oh my
wow,
God,
you're such a you're like a specialist. Just me talking to you has restored my vision.
This is a malingerer.
I am malingerer. So because of the fact that the gain they want is no longer there, they become like their symptoms go immediately. Very, and they don't like to be exposed to all the harm that, like, let's say all these invasive procedures. But if it's a factitious person, as the doctor says that, they don't be, doctor, why are we wasting time? What are we waiting for? I'm not using the eye before. I'm not using the eye before. You can take it out, and then they would actually go, like, they know that they are making it up, but they will go under that distance for them to remove their eyeballs,
just to assume that rule and like wow.
So like that's a very good example of
the two of them. Wow. Hope you guys have learned a lot. Hope you've jotted a lot of things down, you know. And with this, we've come to the end of this episode. So see you in the next one. Have a nice time. Bye.